and welcome to Seagulls Social. This is the West Ham match reaction, a 1-1 draw, a pretty poor game, to be honest with you. Pretty terrible watch. One of the worst games I think I've watched live. Jack, I know you've watched a lot of football, so probably not quite up there, is it, really, for you?
No,
But
I think
it was pretty bad.
It's not quite. I do actually have a worst game of football I watched, which was Athletic Newham versus Southend Manor.
Right.
That was no, it wasn't. Sorry, it's Clapton FC versus Southend Manor. 0-0 draw. One of the worst games of football. Weather was terrible. That was in the 10th division though. So I mean, I've watched a lot of fucking football. So like, I've watched. Actually, to be fair, the game I watched on Saturday was a lot worse than the West Ham game, and that there were 3 goals in that game.
What
so
game was that?
Well, Whitehawk Welling just was a poor game of football all round. But hopefully the Hawks can bounce back.
Well, it's interesting. You've mentioned 2 fixtures as your worst, being like 10th, one of the 7 or 8 leagues down below what we played. So, but it wasn't a great game, Jack. No. It wasn't. It felt like a very. I'll start off just by saying, like, in my opinion, I felt like it was very lethargic. It didn't feel like we had much impetus. We were very slack with our passing. We couldn't really get a nice rhythm going. It just all felt a bit flat in general, and I think that was my big assessment from the game. And obviously the substitutions did, to be fair to Herzl, Skaglig came on, was quite impactful. Kostulas was impactful, gave us a bit of urgency, a bit of impetus. So there's not much to talk about, but there is a little bit to talk about still. Let's start with that. So first half, Jack, it wasn't the best, was it?
No.
It was a very, very tough watch at times. Just give me that assessment for the first half.
Yeah, hard watch comes to mind. Like a lot of first half this season, it's been a little bit lethargic. But then, I think we have accepted that's kind of Herzl's style a little bit, and the way we're trying to play at the moment. So I'm not too frustrated. Like I'm angry at it. I'm just come to expect it a little bit. And the poor first half, a great chance for Weaver, which he should have put away. Well, I don't know if he got a touch on it, whether he had a bit of an air shot or whether he put it through, but that was a little bit disappointing. And then other than that, there wasn't really that many chances of note. I think it was either Fernandez or Rodriguez who had a shot from range as well that, again, I'm sure we'll get on to Bart as we talk about the second half, but I thought Bart did really well to get down loads of that, and it was a pretty straightforward first half defensively and not a lot going forward. So pretty shite game of football, really. In the first half.
It's one of these games where we're trying to analyse it or / talk about it, and it's really difficult because they didn't give us much to talk about, especially in that first half. But interestingly, Jack,
thanks for coming, and that's we'll see you next week for the Liverpool preview.
That's the end of the podcast. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. But no, Jack. Talking of a few West Ham players, I thought we were lucky. Crescencio Somerville can't finish his dinner because he had a few chances.
Oh, he had a great chance.
He had a great chance in the first half where he absolutely just put it wide.
Sloppy mistakes.
Sloppy mistakes again. Again, we're going to talk about a very big mistake for Van Heck later on. But it seemed like they, West Ham again from my point of view, I thought both teams were pretty poor, to be honest. And then, West Ham did carve out a few chances. Like Somerville's pace seemed to trouble us again. Similar to, we talk about these strikers that are able to use their pace against our centre-backs, which seems to be a bit of a recurring theme. But Somerville used his pace, but just, couldn't finish his dinner. I know he's offside for one of the chances. Where Bart saved it. He was clean through on goal and Bart saved it, and I believe he got flagged for offside. But the second chance was onside and he put it horribly wide. So I thought we were quite lucky in that respect that he didn't punish us, which I think he should have, really, Somerville. And I know in the second half as well, Bart made a good save from him when he done an acrobatic sort of volley, which was a good save from Bart. But again, you could argue, should he be scoring from there? Not the easiest of chances, but potentially could have scored. But first half, not much to report. It was, like I said, I felt we looked leggy, we looked lethargic. We couldn't really get a rhythm going. There was maybe a couple of spells where we looked okay, but it was a real tough watch. So swiftly moving on to the second half, 5 minutes into the podcast, we're already into the second half.
Do you know, the weather was appalling, wasn't it?
Horrible.
Not that the weather's appalling for both teams. Like, I'm not using that, but
a tie from AFTV. It was raining.
It definitely had I think it had an effect on the quality of the game.
No, I agree.
You know, and I think it looked, like you said, a bit lethargic, and I think both teams are sort of seeing the effect of the equality and know you can really get going, and it seemed, you know, the atmosphere didn't really get going, because I remember because where I sit with stand up, or I can see the floodlights and the lights shining down, and like the rain was like, you know, monsoon level. So yeah, it was the first half, and someone did say to me at half time, my seat neighbour Dan said, he said, you know, mistake's going to be the reason that people score in this game. And
there we go.
as it went on into the second half, we learned that to be true.
Yes, yeah, no, very much so. No, and to be fair, atmosphere, we're all going to get onto that, because that was a big talking point as well. The atmosphere, the Amex atmosphere. I mean, it's been something we spoke about for years, hasn't it, in terms of our atmosphere and what we can contribute. But I saw your tweet, one of your tweets about, you know, the performances on the pitch, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Is if the players on the pitch aren't giving us anything to shout about, it's extremely tough to then, you know, get behind them. But I do get it, you know, for example,
it's a two-way thing, though. It's massively. 100%. Talk about the atmosphere.
Might as well. Yeah, might as well. No, but no, I 100% agree with you. I think it is definitely a two-way thing where we have to try and maybe give our energy to the players, who then in turn perform on the pitch. But at the same time, they have to give us something to get excited about and shout about. So it's a tough one for me, because I feel like, yeah, I agree with you. It is very much split in the middle. It's like we have to give our, because if you look at, for example, let's use Leeds. Look, they're a bigger fan base than us. They're a bigger club than us. I get it, but they create an electric atmosphere at Ellen Road.
Wow. See, right, I'm gonna fight our corner here a little bit.
Okay.
Is that I think it is a two-way thing. But when a team is playing rubbish, it's hard to get an atmosphere going.
But Leeds are in the bottom three, or just above the bottom, the relegation zone.
Well, this is the thing. When Leeds are crap, they don't make much of an atmosphere. Like, you know, if they're constantly on the back foot and teams are attacking them, I've been there before when we've been attacking them, we've been 1-0 up. You know, it's one of the best atmosphere I've ever been in at Leeds. When they played when they played us a few years ago, they stayed up as a result of drawing 1-1 with us. I think somebody scored in the last minute. Strout scored. We were 1-0 up, and we were pushing for a second, and we were great, and they were just silent, because they were just like, right, well, this is us relegated. And then they got a flurry of chances, and the atmosphere rises. And I always think that's going to be the case with every club. Like, you know, and those who follow me on Instagram will know that I'm doing the 92 league clubs at the moment, and this isn't just a Brighton problem. Like, you know, you go to some places, and if the atmosphere isn't great, and the away fans are always going to be louder. Like, I think there's various reasons for that in English football, but because it's not about sheer numbers, and we're a reactive crowd, and the whole of the country's a reactive crowd. But I do think we need to G them up a bit sometimes. I do feel like we're just sitting in silence, even when we have a period or there's no like seagulls, but it is all about chances. You know, if you're not creating at all, not creating any chances to score, you're not gonna create an atmosphere. Because, you know, you think the best atmospheres come out when you almost score, and it's like, yeah, come on, we got a corner, etc. So I don't think it's like a unique problem, but I think the thing that just frustrates me is just the amount of empty seats. It can't be good for the players, and I don't really know how we solve it, because I think we've tried everything. You know, a lot of people complain about the transport, and look, I'll stand. The transport isn't always great, but all this season on the weekend, I've not had any problems getting to and from the game. And yeah, the weather's crap. Look, I'm not judging other people, but I am a bit. Like, if you just go, the weather's shit, I can't be bothered to go. He didn't really give a shit anyway, and I think we do have a lot of, and we are getting to a point where we've been in Premier League a few years, so people aren't going to be as interested as they were before. I mean, I'm as interested as ever, but not everyone's, and no, probably the same for you, and
yeah, of course,
and that, you know, that's how it is. Like, some people just aren't going to feel like that, and yeah, it feels like we're sort of, you know, the weather's bad, and people can't be bothered because of the transport and whatever, and I suppose that's their reason, but I think we do need to. I keep on seeing this. People say about this disconnect. They have a disconnect with the club now, and I've seen this a few times, and I don't get it. I don't get why just because we're playing badly doesn't mean you have a disconnect with the club or whatever. I think people just maybe had a little bit of a parasocial relationship with De Zerbi's team or whatever. And they thought they were a part of it. And that's fine. That's good. Like, you want to feel a part of it. But just because we're doing bad doesn't mean, like, you have less of a disconnect. We're just not very good and you're disappointed. That's what happens, isn't it? Like, when you lose, it's just simple dopamine, isn't it?
Yeah,
when you're not getting the results that you necessarily want, you don't feel a disconnect. You're just disappointed. Yeah, I just find it a bit strange.
I do. Going back to a couple of points, actually, a couple of points that you made.
I said a lot then.
Yeah. I'm trying to reconnect. I'm trying to get back to the earlier points. But one of them you mentioned about like the away fans being louder, etc. It was funny actually with the Villa game when Villa, when they were 2-0 down, didn't make a peep.
No.
And then as soon as they got a goal back, they then, erupted and then I'll see, funny enough, we've spoken about it already, but, they were in our comments and that kind of stuff. And they're like, we're the best fans in the league. It's always going to be loud when Villa come to town.
Not to cuss out a particular fan base, but the people in comments are just absolute morons. Like, can't actually read or listen. Like, I'm sure there's probably some West Ham fans listening to this, and you're probably not going to be anywhere near the level of Aston Villa fans. They're just idiots.
And to be fair to West Ham, do you know what? To be fair play to them. They were pretty loud from the off.
Yeah,
they were well supported. They were singing.
To be fair,
day.
this year they weren't singing abuse at their own team like they did last year. Like, I don't remember, was it? The Germans, right, were fucking shy.
25 they were in better spirits.
Yeah, they were.
They were in better spirits.
And they got a great anthem. Like, I think Forever Blown Bubbles is a great anthem.
It was quite funny when we started trying to stick your bubbles up your arse. That was good. That was good fun. But yeah, just going back to the original point, it was the fact that I think it's so right. It's like, when a team's doing well, you can see when the atmosphere picks up, and when a team that isn't doing well, and I think that's very normal, and that applies for every team. And then the second point I was going to make was my theory. I've got a couple of theories, and a couple that I agree with you as well. Definitely the weather, for example. Transport is a huge one as well, because we are quite far away from the town centre. Getting to the Amex for some people is quite difficult, and I completely appreciate that. Another theory I've got, so where I sit is West Lower, right?
Yeah.
And around us, we have a lot of Japanese fans usually. But what I've noticed is, for the last 2 games, there's actually not that many Japanese fans around me.
Yeah, this is the theory I've seen online.
Which could be linking back to the Matoma injury, obviously, because they're thinking, well, Matoma's not playing, there's no point of us going. But that links back to a bigger problem, in my opinion. And it's not about nationality, it's not about, if you're a Japanese fan, you're an Ecuadorian, nothing like that. For me, it's a point of you're going to watch a particular player, or you don't actually have a connection with the club because of you actually want to go and watch Brighton. And that applies for fair weather fans as well. A lot of corporate fans go to Brighton now. We've seen a massive surge of corporate fans. Fans that support 2 or 3 teams. Fans that are not actually there to support Brighton. And I think that's the key reason why our atmosphere is not great. It's because you've got a lot of corporate hospitality, a lot of fans that are just there for one player, and basically their intentions aren't there to support Brighton Hove Albion. Their intentions are there to either because they got a free ticket or they're supporting a particular player who's not playing at the time.
I don't think that's a Brighton only problem. Like, I think a lot of I mean West Ham is a great example.
Because football's becoming more commercialised, isn't it? I think it's a widespread thing with football.
And I think we're seeing it at our club, and I don't think we're anywhere near the worst. Like, I think the worst team I've come across for that, and I'm not meaning it to, is at the London Stadium. Like, I think the London Stadium is.
I think West Ham will agree with that themselves.
Yeah,
they've always said about the atmosphere being terrible. Yeah,
and I think it's definitely like, it's an interesting sort of microcosm. I do think, like, Brighton ultimately probably have a good, strong fan base of about 20k, and I think the 10,000 on top of that, including away fans, and top of that is a lot of it. And there's nothing wrong with just going to watch Premier League football. I'm not digging it out. I'm just saying that might be a reason why. But that definitely doesn't bring atmosphere. Like, and I'll admit, I'm probably I like to get involved with. I'll cheer, I'll be into it when I go watch Doncaster Peterborough or something. But, I don't know. I think there is part of it. I also just think, like, and this isn't like a dig at Brighton. I think this is just, I just think the cost of living and the cost of football is a lot of money. 100%. And, like, you're going to when people list their seats because they can't bother to go, I think it's just being difficult to sell those tickets on. And whether it's due to the ticket sharing policy, I think there's lots of theories I've seen online, and I think the club gets stuck in a rock and a hard place with that. Like, I think that while I would obviously love the ability, but I mean, I go to every game, so it doesn't really affect me that much. I'd love the ability to have a card that I could just pass to someone if I couldn't go.
100% agree, yeah.
But I understand what a club, because the club don't gain any money off that, and then somebody could just split a season ticket down the middle instead of them buying free match day tickets. So
of course,
I get it 100% from the club's view. You know, at the end of the day, it is a business.
Well, just quickly, Jack, on the cost of living crisis, I 100. So, as everyone knows, I live in London, but obviously support Brighton. I'm from Brighton, but moved to London for work, and now going to a home game, right, feels like an away day for me because, and again, obviously, this is a very what's it called, special case because not most people do live in Brighton, so it's not an issue. But just speaking from my point of view, it's costing me a good 50 quid on train tickets to get down there. Then to buy a pie and a drink in the stadium, you're looking at about £10 to £15 alone.
Yeah.
Then if I was to drink, I'd be maybe getting 2 or 3 pints. That's an extra 20 quid. So like by the time you know it, you're looking at about £100 every match day. Just to go and watch football, and that's ridiculous, really.
Yeah, and I do think like the price of match to match tickets.
Yeah, and plus my ticket, which is £80 a month. For my home ticket, which works out whatever much,
and that is obviously on the more expensive side of the.
Of course, yeah, I have got a decent ticket to be fair.
Yeah,
but,
I get that, and also I do kind of get like I think we're one of the more competitive clubs when it comes to ticket pricing. I don't think we absolutely take the piss like someone like Fulham, for example, when they're charging 100 quid for like Wolves versus Fulham. Like, no disrespect to either of those teams, but it's not. Exactly
we were on Super Sunday, Jack, and it was West Ham Brighton.
But like, I think at the end of the day, I sort of looked it up, and if you want 2 adults and 2 children to a game which is, I mean, I find it weird though because I don't go to games based on opposition. But some people do, don't they? Like some people will see West Ham and go, "Oh, I'm not going to bother." Well, West Ham is still an established Premier League team. They bring good fans, good atmosphere. It's usually a good game between us both.
Well, it's funny you should say that actually because we were speaking to our friend in Australia who's coming back, and he's like, "Oh, who you got today?" And I went, "West Ham." He went, "Oh, well, that's tasty," because he's like a football fan, so like he understands it. But like, I think it goes back to the point: if you're a fair weather fan and you're not really into your football, you're like, "Well, West Ham's not attractive. I'm going to go to Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, the big clubs."
They can sometimes be the shittest game, and when they're quite good at the Amex, actually, aren't they? Usually, they're a bit more one-sided. So I do find it a bit strange, and I do find it strange that we were 5th, 6th in the Premier League before this week, and we were struggling to sell out. But I think there's a lot more going on than just like we're tin pot.
No, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, we've discussed 6 or 7 factors already of what potential thing. And again, we don't know the answer. It could be a massive, loads of variables. But the final thing I'll say on the atmosphere, and we'll get back to the football. The final thing I'll say as well, like people digging out people for leaving early. Like I get it, 70th minute. If people leaving at 70th minute, I don't agree with that. I think what's the point of coming if you're going to leave at 70 minutes? What's the point of coming? But if you're leaving at, let's say, like I don't know, 85, 90, and you've got a legitimate reason. Fine, no problem with it at all. Because sometimes the transports are, transport links aren't great or whatever.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I'm fully against leaving early. I think I get it.
I personally don't ever leave early, but I can understand if you do for legitimate reasons. But 70 minutes is taking a piss because 70 minutes is like, what's the point of coming to the game?
Some people have legit reasons, but I don't know. I get very intolerant at people leaving early. I think it's even on 85 and later. I just think if you're a player on the pitch and you see people streaming out and we're only 1 goal down, you're not going to be pushing for it. It's not the motivation you need.
I do get it.
So I do think that people should just like grow up a bit sometimes.
But it's easier said than done. I've got to play devil's advocate here. Like you say, grow up, but it's like, well, if I know. I don't know if someone's got an important meeting to go to or important,
of course,
something. But then the counter argument.
Why would you schedule it?
Then that's the counter argument. It's like, well, either sell your ticket or I don't know.
It's a Sunday afternoon. What are you doing, man?
Look. Listen. It's a great debate, and we could be. It was a poor example. Maybe not meetings, but like, you might have an important thing to go to after the game, and you have to make it on a certain time. Anyway, it's all variables. It's I don't know. Factors.
I just think it's a bit strange sometimes when you see us like. When you're 1-0 down, I just think, why would you not want to see what happens? Like,
well, this is the thing. Yesterday, before we scored, there was genuinely. I looked back, and it was like a mass exodus, like loads of people leaving, and I was like, and at the time, I was a bit angry. I was like, for fuck's sake, lads! Like, it's still not the end of the game. Why are you leaving? But then,
I get it. I 100% get it with the like. Some people have the 3-0 rule, don't they? If you're 3-0 down, then. And I get that.
I stick to that. Yeah, 3 or 4, I'm out.
Like 3 or 4, like I wouldn't. I've never left it. I've left one Brighton game early in my life, actually. It was Blackburn away in 2016 because I had to get a train and we were 3-1 up. But anyway,
that's a poor excuse, mate. You shouldn't have left.
Yeah,
early,
it was.
mate.
I had to get back to Huddersfield and I left in the third minute of injury time of a given 4, and Blackburn scored in the 4th minute of injury time to make it 3-2. And that told me to never leave again because they're going to score.
Funny you share that. Actually, we went to an away days. Like me and my boys, we always like to try and plan away day trips, and we went to Ajax. And I can't remember for the life of me who they're playing, but they went 1-0 down, and 2 of the boys were like, "Oh fuck this! Like, let's just leave early. Like, let's get out of the stadium." And the away side scored. Ajax scored in like the 94th minute. Yeah. And he said to us ever since, he's like, "I'm never ever leaving a game ever again." Exactly. And there you go. You learn from your mistakes. There you go. So let's move on, Jack. We spent quite a lot of time on this debate, but it's a great debate. Please get involved if you're watching, if you're listening, if you're on YouTube. Please let us know what you think about it all.
Because we do have cracking atmospheres sometimes.
Cool. Yeah, 100%.
European games, Marseille, stuff like
100%,
that.
100%. No.
Yeah. And same for West Ham. Like, people say that stadium's shit for atmosphere. I went to them when they played Sevilla for some reason. I think I was working in London or something, and that was amazing atmosphere when they beat Sevilla 2-1. So yeah, for me, like, I don't quite understand it.
Yeah, but we could be here all day talking about the atmosphere, but no, I think we've raised some good points, and hopefully people can get involved and put their 2 pence.
Going to the second half.
Yeah, second half. So second half again. I'll be honest. The quality didn't exactly increase in terms of the footballing standards, but there was goals and there was chances, which we can talk about at least. But yeah, let's talk about West Ham obviously going 1-0 up. Again, I don't think any side deserved to win, to be honest with you.
Do you know what? I thought this was like the most 0-0 game ever. And we've had these a few times before where miraculously it becomes a 1-1 game. I think there must have been other games like this where literally like 2 will be scored quite late on and you just wonder how the hell has that happened?
Was it last season that we drew against them 0-0 and it was one of the worst games of football?
Yeah. No, 1-1.
1-1, that's it.
That was a 0-0 game, just for a 10-minute period.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of 2024. It was 0-0. That was one of the worst. Yeah, that was terrible. That was a terrible game of football.
But it's like, this game could have been 0-0, but luckily the Barclays gods gave us some goals and a little bit of controversy just to mix it up a bit and make it not a boring end to the game.
No,
but
100%.
If we draw 0-0, everybody would have gone home and nobody would have said a word. But instead, the Barclays gods stepped up. Yeah.
They saved us.
But
they did indeed.
West Ham won 1-0 up.
Yeah, poor mistake from Van Heck. Usually our most reliable and risk-free centre back. But it was a poor play from Van Heck. Obviously, put in who was it? Bowen?
No, Wilson.
No, Wilson. That's it. Wilson, and then landed to Jared Bowen, and he sort of slid. And from the angle, when I was watching it live, I was like, "How the hell has he scored from that angle?"
It's a good finish.
It was a great finish. It was a great finish. And Jared Bowen, I've got to give him his flowers. I really like Jared Bowen. I think he's heavily underrated. I think he's, one of the most underrated footballers in the Premier League. He's a fantastic football player. He's always consistent for West Ham. I hardly see him have a bad game.
No.
So I have to give him his flowers. It was
Even
a great
when
finish.
they're really shit, he still has quite a good game.
Exactly. So fair play to him. But no, great finish, Jack. And it was a poor mistake from Van Heck, wasn't it, ultimately?
Yeah, and I think, we were getting very devoid of ideas at that point in the game. And we had a lot of the same back and forward. And we definitely started to go on the front foot a bit more. And it just seemed one of those things where you've got the 2 centre-backs sitting deep. And actually, fair play to Nuno. I think he made the right decision. And Callum Wilson's a player who's come under quite a lot of scrutiny just in general recently because he is perma-injured sometimes. But that was exactly the right kind of player to bring on in that moment. A bit of pace, a bit of physicality late on. And I think that, and a player who always scores against us as well. Don't know whether that was all part of Nuno thinking. But, and he sort of... It's the perfect kind of decision to put a little bit of doubt, put a little bit of fear in Van Heck and Dunk to just sort of do that dodgy little header. I thought we defended it okay. Really with the mistake, we managed to get back, we managed to keep it sort of away. And then I do think Ferdy was a little bit suspect for that, for the finish. I think he could have put a foot in a bit earlier. But again, I think it is a really good finish and run by Bowen, so I'm not too hypercritical, but I do think he was a little bit weak there. And they put it into the corner, sort of kind of against the run of play a little bit. I wouldn't say they made loads of chances. I mean, there was obviously that Bart double save, which was that before the goal or after the goal?
That was before, I want to say.
Before the goal, yeah. And that was a fantastic double save. Like, I think,
really good,
we'll probably get onto it in a bit. But Bart, I thought, like, was deserved man of the match, and he got man of the match award in the stadium, which was really good to see. You know, I think his continued improvement is great to see, and he couldn't have done a lot with the goal, really. It's a good finish across the keeper. And yeah, a bit disappointing to go 1-0 down, because I thought we were doing okay and could have nicked it, but then, yeah.
And just quickly before we get on to our equaliser, just talk about the substitutions. Obviously, you mentioned it already. Callum Wilson came off for Somerville, Freddie Potts for Rodriguez, and then we made our own substitutions. Hinshelwood coming off for Belabor, and Kostulas for De Kuiper, and Gruder for Minter, which I want to just quickly talk about. So I thought Belabor was pretty good, to be honest. Which I was actually a bit.
Continued improvement, which is good to see.
Exactly. And we haven't talked about it yet, but I thought Jorginho Rutter actually had a pretty poor game. I know he ended up scoring the equaliser. And again, there's been a bit of discourse with this, because some people were saying Rutter was really good, and like he obviously got his goal. But I'll be honest, that first half especially, he couldn't keep the ball. He made a lot of misplaced passes. He didn't look like he had that kind of, that whereabouts of, knowing where people were. He lost the ball quite a lot. He tried to make a lot of dribbles, which were unsuccessful. I was speaking to you off air about I was looking through his stats for the game, and I think he had like a 60% dribble rate, and he gave the ball away quite a few times. His pass completion rate is in the 60% mark as well. So, in my opinion, he just didn't have a good game at all. And I was really surprised, actually, that he didn't come off for Gruder, which obviously in hindsight now is great. But at the time I was thinking, why is he not brought on Gruder for Rutter? It just didn't make sense to me. But obviously, ultimately, I'm happy he did stay on the pitch, because he obviously got us our equaliser in the end. But yeah, what do you think of Rutter's performance? And what do you think of the subs as well?
Yeah, I thought, I'll start on the subs. I think Believer had a good game. He has come off on 60 minutes for some reason. Bit disappointed with that. I think there's got to be a point where he plays 90 minutes. You would hope that Liverpool will be the game where he plays 90 minutes, considering he's going to AFCON. He won't be available for the game after, so let's run him into the ground before that.
Get the most out of him.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit disappointing, because he does seem to be getting his groove back a bit. I think we did lose control a little bit of midfield. I thought Hinshelwood was okay, actually, and I don't think he was too much of a factor, but Believer just brings that physical presence that no one else does. So, yeah, a little bit disappointed with that sub. I think Minter coming off was the right decision.
See, I disagree. I feel like Minter gave us a little bit of an outlet, because every time, because we like to give it to him on the right, don't we? It seems to be our preferred direction now that Matoma's been out. It seems to be like always get the ball to Minter, get him to run at the defenders. And I know he didn't have his best game yesterday, Minter, but I felt like with him on the right, it would have been better, and then we could have had Gruder either full Rutter or De Kuiper going off the left. And I don't know, at the time I just felt like maybe Minter could have given us a bit more. But again, ultimately he's got it right, because he has affected the game in the right sense.
For me, I think Minter had another game where he's looking more and more each game that goes past. He's just running out of energy. Like, brings so much energy, brings so much pace. Without Matoma on the other wing, we're relying on him far too much.
I think that's the issue, isn't it?
And we're getting the ball into him again and again and again. And it's he's our only real outlet with pace, which I think is a problem in the team. But I think credit to the manager, because I think the manager's basically got to deal with the contingency of the contingency of the contingency, which is injured at the moment. Because if you look on our left side, Matoma's injured, March is injured, Watson's injured, and Harry Howe, who I think would have definitely played a few games. He's a great talent. Like, I think people are forgetting that, and scored in the League Cup. He's been injured as well. So, sort of high energy, quick players that we want to bring in, and the only option we've really got off the bench is Oriola, and as on top of Gruder. So I do think it's a tough job for Minter, because he's got to carry us in that department at the moment. I think it's the right decision to bring him off. He just wasn't working for him. I think bringing off De Kuiper was the right decision. He didn't seem to be affecting too much. I think he worked hard though. Don't get me wrong. I think, and for him and Ferdy down that left side when both fully fit is a really good little partnership. So I do like the look of that. But yeah, I think it just looked like we'd run out of ideas and we couldn't get the subs. We didn't have the options to really affect the game.
100%.
Yeah, and
The attacking options are so bare now, aren't they?
Yeah,
especially with Simas being out injured now for a couple of months.
Yeah, and look, no disrespect to Oriola, but he's a player I've watched for the under-21s, and he was definitely not like one of the people I wrote down as they're going to break through this season. And fair play, they've made an appearance, so that's he definitely has broken through, but he's not. Maybe I look, if I was a manager, I'm not a football manager, I maybe would have chucked him on for 5 minutes to give it something different, but it's not ideal when you've got like an 18, 19-year-old kid as your only two options to go on and make an effect to the game. So, but then a couple of the subs did make an effect to the game, so I do think that's worth talking about in a positive sense. That I thought Gruder did create quite a few chances. When he came on, he looked energy, he looked lively.
Well, it just gave us that impetus, didn't it? Kostulas gave us that energy. And Skagley even giving us that energy. Gruder giving us a bit of energy. It all felt a bit flat before they came on.
And I think the big one that needs to be said is Kostulas. I thought Kostulas came on and really, and he's key to the goal, and we'll get on to the controversy surrounding his contribution to the goal. But he came on. There was that lovely little run he did where he sort of took it round 2 or 3 players and fired it at the keeper. And fair play to Ariola. He's had a few good games down at the Annex, and he had another good one actually, because that was a fantastic save he made from that to reaction and the speed and power of the shot. But yeah, that was a bit frustrating, but Kostulas has a really positive performance, and I think he should be knocking on the door for a start for me.
No, I agree. I think, and just quickly, Jack, get your thoughts on Rutter. What do you think of his performance?
Oh yeah, Rutter. Sorry, that's what we started on, didn't we? Yeah.
Then he went off a tangent.
Yeah, I thought Rutter was complete shit, to be honest, throughout the game. Like, that sounds very harsh. What I do always respect about Rutter is you can never accuse him of not trying.
100%, yeah.
Like, I think he was trying, and he was almost.
But he might have been trying too hard, maybe.
And it looked like he kind of looked like that a little bit, and he was trying to bring the energy in. It just nothing was coming off. And look, I like Georgie. I think he's a great player, but he just didn't have a good game, and I don't think that's through lack of trying. And I was quite shocked when he didn't come off. Like when I thought he was, Minter and I think it was Kuiper made way for the subs that we made. I was quite surprised by that. So fair play, he got the goal in the end, and I do remember somebody very harshly, I thought, but pretty spot on was I don't know if you remember Dingra's performance at Wolves last year, Wolves away. He was appalling. I was screaming at the TV in Benidorm, watching it, going like, this guy is killing us. Like, it's like playing with 10 men.
He's playing against us.
And then he got an assist for the second goal, for Gruder's goal. He, beautifully played him in, and he scored. So it's funny how that happens. And the guy behind did say, well, Rutter's going to have it's going to be like Wolves away, where he's going to get a goal that wins us a game or gets the equaliser. And lo and behold, that is exactly what happened.
100%. And talking of the goal, Jack, so I obviously watching it, I straight away I didn't celebrate. It's the first time I've not celebrated a goal in the stadium. Really? Like I just didn't celebrate at all, which was really strange for me, because I knew straight away, because I saw it hit his hand like so explicitly from the angle I was sat. I could see it so well. So straight away, I turned around to the boys. They're going mad next to me. And I'm, boys, I don't think it's going to count. Rutter handball. And then loads of people were like, no, it was the high kick, because Kostulas had the overhead kick, didn't he? And everyone was like, no, it's the high kick. It might be the high kick. And I was like, no, I'm telling you right now, it's definitely Rutter handball. So it pops up on the screen, checking handball, Georgina Rutter. And I was like, there you go. And then I was very apprehensive, because I was like, yeah, it's definitely handball. Like, there's no two ways about it. And then obviously got given. Good finish in the end, great, happy, all that kind of stuff. But then when I was watching, like when I went on Twitter and stuff, looking like what the sort of thing was around it, and it was the reason why they didn't give it was because it was a second phase of play. So if you'd scored from that if Ariola let that ball go in, essentially, it would have been a handball and it wouldn't have counted. But because it was technically a second phase, then the handball doesn't matter anymore. So. And I think, I don't know,
that's
maybe
not quite. That's not quite. That's not quite.
That's how I understood it.
So what the thing is so the player directly handballs it, and let's say Jorginho scores, that is the hand directly affecting the goal.
Right.
Right. But it's not about phases. It's because if the player scoring handles it, it's seen as directly affecting the actual shot on goal. Now, what it doesn't take into account, so essentially move that out the box. So move that like way away. So let's say that the same thing happens, it hits his knee, and that's the key to the rule. That if it hits the body first and then the arm,
right, okay,
it is, because at the end of the day, that's not what he's intended to do.
Because it's bounced off his knee and hit his hand.
Yeah, it's a deflection. So anywhere else on the pitch, that wouldn't be a handball. That would be like what we traditionally called a ball to hand.
Yeah.
And that always used to be a thing before VAR came in. So let's say move it out of the box, and then let's say he controls it like that and then crosses it in, and someone heads it in. Or, I mean, it's weirder even because he sort of set himself up.
Yeah.
But, so that's, and then you move it in. So it's not a change of phase of play. It's that it's like the Calvert-Lewin goal, which he scored for Leeds the other week against Villa. I don't know if you watched that game, where it came off his knee and then hit his arm and then went in.
Yeah.
That can't count because it's basically directly gone in off his arm. It doesn't matter how accidental the handball is, if it directly goes in. And yeah, that's why it's it's a strange rule, but it is kind of the rule. And I do wish, and I do have sympathy with West Ham fans in some sense. In A, I do think it's a bit of a stupid rule. And B, I just wish referees would be consistent with it. I think, and West Ham fans have rightly highlighted this, that if that was against other teams, it likely wouldn't have been given. And I do think they're very right in that. But I think that's a referee consistency problem. And, Simon Hooper is one of my least favourite referees, and I thought he had an okay game, actually.
Yeah,
yesterday.
I can't complain with the referee today.
I mean, nothing really happened.
I usually do, but...
Nothing really happened, did it?
He was quite trigger happy with his yellows, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
I think he gave out 3 or 4 in the end.
And then, of course, it bounces down. Van Het, little flick, and then actually a very good finish by Rutter to just,
great finish,
fire that home at rocket speed. So fair play, good to that. And then the high foot. Now the high foot, I think is, that's the one I seem to, because I think I put a tweet out which just said read the rules or something. This is probably quite a controversial one, and I'll see what happens if it ever happens to Brighton. But I think I'll stick to my guns on this. I don't think we should be ruling out goals for that.
No, I agree.
For the good of the sport, he connected with the ball. Yes, his foot was in a dangerous position. Yes, probably by the letter of the law it is. But he connected with the ball. And I know this is going to sound really stupid, but I think the defender lent into it a bit more. If you're playing football and all of a sudden that's not allowed, who's ever going to attempt an overhead kick?
100%. Yeah. No, you take so much out of the game that way.
And I do 100% like get the West Ham side of it. Like I probably would be arguing it or a bit disappointed. But I think it's one of these sort of 50-50 ones where I think before VAR nobody would bat an eyelid. But again, because the referees aren't consistent, you've seen it given against Liverpool or Man United or whatever. So I do think there is that sort of sense to it. But for me, I think it's like one of these 50-50 where I think if the referee had given it in real time and gone like, that's a high foot, goal disallowed, I don't think we could have had many complaints. But at the same time, if the goal gets given, I don't think West Ham can have that many complaints. We want to see goals in football. We want to see
100%, yeah.
And I know I'm saying that for a last-minute equaliser for us, which sounds a bit hypocritical, but we do want to see goals, don't we? We want to see goals,
and also as well, like you said, it's like if you're gonna say no one can attempt an overhead kick, like that has to then you have to put that into the rule book and say no one is ever allowed to do an overhead kick again or even attempt one, and it just goes against the beauty of the game. And you're just then becoming so safeguarded that it becomes unenjoyable to watch. It's like you're just taking all the fun, aesthetically pleasing stuff out of the game.
I see shit like that in non-league all the time where there's ridiculous decision. I don't know. I don't think we should do away with VAR, and maybe this goes back to my whole atmosphere point. But I just want to see the game in its purest form again.
100%. Yeah. Bring back the old school, mate. Fuck.
But VAR. As well, I do have sympathy with West Ham because if that was against us, I'd probably be fuming.
Yeah, I'll be fuming as well.
Yeah, so
because, like I said, straight away I was like, "Yep, it's not a goal. He's handballed it."
But the handball thing is just a weird rule.
Yeah,
It's just a weird rule.
It's one of those weird rules,
yeah.
which I obviously clearly didn't know either going
Yeah.
into this. So that's good to know. Thanks for clearing that up, Jack. All in all, pretty poor affair. A point. Was it a point gain, Jack? Or do you feel like maybe it was 2 points dropped?
I feel like, for me, I expected this game to be a draw. So for me, it's not even a point gain or a point loss. This is exactly what I thought would happen.
Did you say it in the predictions? If we go back.
No, because we didn't do a preview, did we?
Oh, we didn't. We actually didn't.
So we have no idea, do we?
Jack claims he said it was going to be a draw, but no one will ever know.
And but yeah, like, you know, it was I don't even know the point drop or point gain. It was just a point.
Just final thing I want to say before we wrap up. We've already mentioned this recently, but I want to mention it again. What's really frustrating me at the moment is this like consistency. You know, the fact that we are sometimes playing really well. Forest, great example, played really well in that game. Fantastic. Then you go into, for example, this game, and you know it was pretty poor. Villa, really good first half. Well, not really good. Obviously, we end up drawing 2-2 for half time, but positive first half, and then a pretty shit second half. Then this game, just crap both halves. There's no real consistency for me. And also as well, there was times I was watching that West Ham game yesterday, and I thought, what is our style? Are we a transition team? Are we a team that sits back in low blocks? Are we, like, as in, I didn't know what our identity was. What are we? What are we as a football team? And it seems to like every game is different, and every game we don't, and which is quite good to be fair, because that means, you know, we're hard to predict. You know, managers can't really prepare for us, and there are positives to that. But I was just watching that game yesterday, and I was like, why are we so consistently inconsistent? And I just feel like we need to have some kind of rhythm, some kind of like, at least if we watch a 1-1 draw or we lose 4-3, at least I can leave the game going, do you know what? We stuck to our, whatever our thing is, we stuck to it and we actually gave it a good go. But I feel like I can't walk away from a game thinking, oh yeah, cool, I saw what we were doing there and we just couldn't pull it off.
That doesn't bother me too much. I think I can sort of see a style. I can see a style that we...
What is it, Jack? What is this style?
We affect games with our substitutions. Now, that's what he's gone for. And I think why we're being a bit inconsistent and we haven't been as good in the last couple of games, because injuries have caught up with us. Like, I hate using the injury, you know, the example, but yet again, we've got to December and the injuries start piling up. And you look, like I said about Minter, you know, you've got Matoma, who would have been another option to provide pace. Watson mysteriously disappeared with an injury. Another option to provide
Ayari?
Yeah, Ayari's injured. I think we're seeing how important Ayari is and sort of carrying him forward and positivity. We've got March has been injured. I mean, sadly, we'll never know. We won't probably know for a while whether he'll be returning. And then you've got Howe, who's like our best young prospect. So I think maybe in January, maybe have to look at some of the loans and how we've arranged stuff. I think they will be looking at that. Like, I think definitely with C-Match, you know, we've got a striker out on loan, Roma, who's not getting a game, who isn't doing very well, admittedly, but he can't be a bad option to come back in. We've got a player out on loan at Chelsea who is not getting any game time. I think it's 8th match in a row, not in the match day squad. You've got to question why we decided to do that. And then sort of breaking news from Andy Naylor that we look like we're looking at moving on the medical team. So
Florian Fab is set to leave Brighton after 18 months as head of medical. A decision made by sporting director Jason Ato and technical director Mike Cave. So that's quite interesting, Jack. So we talked about injuries quite a lot, and it seems like the medical staff don't know when players are coming back, which is a big worry.
Yeah.
or obviously they might know, but as in we just don't get communicated as fans when players will be returning. Matoma's meant to be back like ages ago. Oh, hello, Catty. Hello, hello, pussy. It's just, for me, it's a very strange, weird thing that, for example, Ayari just wasn't in the matchday squad last game, and I don't know how long he's out for. Do you? Do you know how long he's out? No. Like, it's just
like
mental.
Matoma, they keep on going, he's 50-50. I think we've had 50-50 for about
3 months.
Yeah, so...
it's insane. So hopefully that improves, Jack. But we also did see Yannick Ouvrard appointed as set-piece coach, and we all thought that was going to improve. Hasn't really improved.
Well, I completely disagree.
Do you?
Yeah, I think we're much better at attacking set pieces, number one.
Yeah.
And I think we're conceding less. Villa game, obviously,
Yeah, 2.
is an exception. 2 set pieces. I think that was poor, but then Villa at the weekend have shown that actually there's not a bad result at all. Like beating Arsenal.
Title challenges. So.
Yeah, I mean, they potentially are the nearest title challengers at the moment with Arsenal. So I don't think conceding from them is too much of a problem. I actually think we've markedly improved at set pieces. And West Ham are a team who, maybe I've made it up in my head that they're good at set pieces, but a West Ham fan will probably tell me in the comments I'm talking complete shit if saying they're good at set pieces, but they always seem like a big team. Suchek always seems to score from a bloody set piece. But, we defended well in the set pieces, and other than the Villa game, I can't remember the last time we conceded from a set piece.
No, fair enough. I'll take it back, mate.
Yeah, swing it. That was a good appointment.
I concede.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully the medical team can improve and we don't see so many injuries / people being mysteriously out for like 3 months. So
and that's how we become consistent. If we have our full squad, we have the consistent options and the style, at least that I'm seeing, which is having subs come on and change the game and affect the game. Then we can have that to change it. We can use that style to consistently,
I don't want to use. I don't want to end the podcast this way, but I mean, look at Crystal Palace. They use the same 11 pretty much every game.
Yeah,
and they're now 4th in the league, and they're flying high. So that does show that when you have your first 11 available all the time, it does help.
I think the only worrying thing is we do look. I think the intensity's been better, but again, we play 3 games in a week, and the intensity is just gone.
Yeah,
and it's lethargic. And I think this has been a worry all season. Is maybe the fitness, and I think that is. I don't know what the manager can do about it, but maybe that is something worth looking at. Is the fitness level seem to have dropped a little bit again, but. We scored in the last minute, and you've got to have a certain level of fitness to bring that pressure late on, don't you? So, yeah, I'm very 50-50 on that, but it just looked like some players look absolutely shagged. I think one player who just looks absolutely done for is Gomez. There's a bit of discourse about Gomez being shit, basically, which I think is really unfair. I think he's been forced on the wing, he's been forced in the middle. I think he's. I
thought he was pretty good against West Ham.
I thought he was all right.
Yeah, he was all right. Yeah,
he looked so tired, and for him to be consistently playing, he's obviously playing in the Ayari role with the absence, but again, he looked really tired, and yeah, I think we need a rest, but we're coming up to the Christmas period, so we're not going to get a rest, are we? So we've got to keep on knuckling down, and Liverpool's next. So
I know, but we will be previewing that. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate all your support. And we shall see you for the Liverpool preview, where it's the Mo Salah's last game, potentially.
Well, apparently he's been kicked out of the squad, won't be playing again.
Well, he's not. Yeah, he's not in the squad for the Champions League.
Yeah,
but he might go before AFCON. Obviously, he's going away for AFCON. But yeah, we'll preview it all in the Liverpool preview. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.